ridges. Okay? The next topic is the ridges. These are tiny elevations on the skin. Okay? So it is tiny, meaning to say we cannot see. Our eyes cannot see these sizes. So meaning to say we can be able to see this with the use of microscope or some special apparatus capable of enlarging small things. Okay, these are found on the skin, of course, specifically in the palmar surface and the soles of the feet. Okay, these are likewise hill-like structures. Okay, it is the hill-like structures. It looks like mountains, small mountains found on the skin or on our ridges. Okay, of course, this is found on the epidermis layer of the skin. Now, remember there are generally two layers of the skin that we have that we are to remember. This is the epidermis and the dermis layer. Okay, um, on the skin containing the sweat pores. So these are our ridges. Okay, so another question here is that this appears as black lines on the fingerprint affixed on a card. So is it the furrows or the ridges or the creases or the valleys? Okay, the answer here are the ridges. Of course, when we try to print the raised portion or the raised part, the elevated part doon sa ating skin, no, yung mga nakaangat dito, if we try to put prints or ink here, of course, and then transfer it on a paper, on a clean or a piece of paper, then these elevated portions, since they are the one who absorb, no, sila sa kanila dumikit yung ink, then pag nilipat mo yan sa papel, siya yung magkukulay itim. Okay? Sa ating fingerprint card. Of course, yung puti doon are the furrows. Okay? The creases are the divisions of our hands or the divisions of our ridges. So on our hand, okay, may mga hati yan, no? Yan as the lines here that you can see, if we try to print this one, these are white lines that appears on the fingerprint card. Okay, so there will be two white lines that we can see on a fingerprint card. Okay, which is the furrows and then the creases. Okay, the distinguishing marks, ang pagkakaiba lang ng dalawa is that yung furrows, of course, are straights. Okay, it follows the ridges. On the creases, these are irregular lines. Okay, this is because of crippled hand or pag naglalaba lagi yung hand na yung kamay na yan is that makukulubot siya. So pag nagprint tayo, makikita mo yung mga kulubot na parts doon. Okay? On the picture, you can see here that the black lines again are the friction ridges. Okay? And the white lines here are the valleys or the furrows. Okay? Let us discuss the skin first. Our skin is 95% of the body, or 95% of the body skin is smooth. Okay? And relatively featureless. As you can see, doon sa ating skin, or our skin, it says there featureless. Meaning to say, wala kayong makita. Aside from the hairs, aside from the pores, yung butas dyan, or aside from the creases. No? The remaining 5% of our body, okay, covering the palms and hands or in soles of the feet, is marked differently. Okay? So, what are these markings? Why are they marked differently? These are the ridges that you can see there. Okay? So, imagine of the 95% of our body, it has no features aside from the hairs, pores, and creases. Tapos yung 5% dyan na makikita natin sa ating kamay at paa, doon lang natin makikita yung ating distinguishing marks o yung ating ridges. Okay? Now, before we proceed, let us discuss the two layers of our skin. Okay? This is the epidermis and the other one is dermis. Now, when you speak of the epidermis, it is our outer protective coat. Or other books will say this is the outer layer of the skin. This is the this is the skin that we can see visibly seen by our eyes. Okay, this part, if you can visualize my video, is that makikita mo dyan, dito mismo yan. That is the epidermis. Okay, and the inner portion of that, okay, which is the inner layer, as they say, inner layer of the skin is the dermis. So it is on the dermis part where we can see the nerves, where we can see the ducts, where we can see the glands. So doon siya sa loob, no? Point here is that dermis is the outer layer, and then the epidermis is the inner layer of the skin. Now, we need to discuss this because, of course, it is on the epidermis layer. Sa epidermis layer natin nakikita ang ating fingerprints, no? Alright, distinguishing again the ridges and furrows is to illustrate this one. The difference between the two is that we have the roof here, okay, or a roof, like cut section of a roof here. So the valleys or the mountain-like structures here are considered the ridges, okay, the papillary ridges, as we have mentioned. And then the canal-like structure here, or the canal here, are what you call as the furrows or furrows. All right. Okay. So moving back, okay, to our largest organ, which is the skin. The skin is 15 to 20% of our body weight. Meaning to say, kung 100 ang bigat mo, edi 20 kilos to 15 kilos yung skin na yan, no? So makikita natin na pinakamalaking organ na pwede natin makita on the different organs, from the different organs that we have. Okay, this is the crease that I am trying to mention. These are the divisions, no, of our hands, or the ridges. It divides. It looks like a puckering, no, puckers, parang putol na mga ridges na yan. But this is different from your furrows, because furrows goes along with your along with your ridges, and these creases are the white lines that you can see here. But of course, when it comes to size, these are bigger. Okay, going back to our skin again, like we have mentioned a while ago, that we have the epidermis and dermis layer of the skin. Okay, and if we go through another part of our skin, or yes, the skin, we have the hypodermis. Okay, as shown on the picture, you can see here that on the epidermis, it is here where you can see the skin. Okay, and on the skin, it is where the hairs, the pores are visible. And on the part of the dermis, dito sa dermis naman natin, dito makikita nyo yung nerves, small nerves. Okay? No? Yan, you have the nerves here. You have the ducts. Okay, the passageway. Okay, you have the passageway of this sweat. Okay? And on here, you can see the sweat glands. Okay? The sweat glands, kung saan nandun yung mga pawis nyo. And then on the hypodermis, it is here where we can see the roots of the hair, the veins, larger veins. Okay, and then of course the fats. Okay, again, just like we have mentioned, the epidermis is also known as the outer layer of the skin. Okay, so giving you the specifics of the dermis, epidermis, and the subcutaneous tissue, or the hypodermis, just like what I have mentioned again, epidermis contains the hair shaft, the pores of the hand, okay, the skin surface, of course, dito natin makikita yan. And dito sa ating dermis, na ang isang tawag dyan, of course, is the true skin, is that we have your capillaries. You have there the muscles, the sweat glands that I have mentioned. Okay? And on the subcutaneous layer or the hypodermis layer, okay, you have the larger big veins here, or large veins there. Okay? So, moving on, our skin contains pores, no? Our skin contains pores, and of course, these pores or this opening, okay, for the ducts from the, these are openings from the for the ducts from the sweat glands. So, mangyayari dyan, pag pinapawisan ng isang tao, magpapalabas yan sa, papalabas tayo ng pawis doon sa surface of the skin. Magpapalabas ito ng nutrients coming from our body in a form of sweats, no? And then, if these sweats or if these nutrients will be in contact with your dirts, or in contact with surfaces that contains ink, maybe it will absorb, of course, or it will yes, it will absorb or didikit siya. Okay? And if we try to hold another thing, it will transfer this what you call as the nutrients will be transferred in a form of ridges sa pamamaraan o sa pamamagitan ng mga ridges. Yan ang tinatawag nating latent fingerprints. Doon sa ating unang mga topic, pag sinabi nating latent fingerprints, of course, these are fingerprints that can be found on the crime scene. Okay? These are fingerprints that may easily be removed or erased because these are not yet developed. Okay? These are the fingerprints that are not yet developed. Okay? So, in summary, okay, class or gentlemen, ladies, in summary, the outer layer is the epidermis and the inner layer is the dermis. Likewise, the innermost layer is the hypodermis. Okay. So, what's the importance, or why do we know, or why do we need to discuss the this layer of the skin, or this two layer of the skin? It is because the damage to the epidermis alone does not result to permanent ridge destruction, while damage to the dermis results to permanent ridge destruction. Diba? Sabi natin kanina that epidermis is the outer layer. Pag ito ay nasugat, okay, hindi siya maglalagay o hindi magbabago ang ating ridge details or ridge formation. Ngayon, pagka umabot sa dermis pala ang ating sugat, o pag sinugatan natin daliri natin at umabot hanggang sa dermis, nagkakaroon kayo ng permanent ridge destruction. Dito tayo nagkakaroon ng ridge destruction na magiging permanent. Nandyan na yan. We cannot change it already because the ridges, or hindi naman siya mapapalitan as a whole, yun ating fingerprint, but it might change some of the little of the fingerprint patterns. Okay? So, that is on the layer of your skin.